Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. So this morning I've come to Appin and I'm going to do a little journey and tour around the Jubilee Bridge, and if I turn the camera around, as you'll see over there, we've got Castle Stalker. So join me and let's see where this journey takes us this morning. Alright, so I've reached Jubilee Bridge. So if I turn the camera around, you can see the bridge. So we've got a kind of seating area here, and then the bridge goes right across the salt marshes over, obviously, to the other side. And then as we swing round, what we'll try and do is follow the shore. I put my wellies on, follow the shore so we can get to Castle Stalker. So let's walk a wee bit closer. What I've done is I might take a couple of pictures and I'll share them with you as I'm speaking, and what I'll also try and do is catch some drone footage as well. But Jubilee Bridge was actually built in 1898, and it was built to celebrate Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee. This whole area here is what we call an inlet of Loch Linnhe, where Castle Stalker sits, but this inlet is called Loch Lay, and it's really just salt marshes and a kind of nature type reserve where we've got a lot of bird wildlife round about here. I've already seen some herons, gulls and other birds flying in, but what I'll do is if I turn the camera around, you'll get to see further up towards the mountains on this side. And there we've got a view of the bridge straight on, and as I turn round we have Castle Stalker, which is in a much better composition here, because when I was over there was no separation for the castle to the backdrop, but now we've got a bit of separation in the island for the Ardnamurchan mountains. So right, what we'll do is I'll take a couple of pictures, and then when I've finished I'll share them with you. Alright, so let's head across the bridge. I've never been over here before. The bridge, since the 1800s when it was built for Queen Victoria, continually gets restored and has a lot of the wood and elements actually replaced. So I'm halfway over the bridge now. The tide's not fully up for this to be surrounded by water, but if I turn the camera around, you'll get to see the beautiful view in front of me. What I'll try and do is take a photograph of Castle Stalker from here, because we've got all the water, the tidal water coming into Loch Lay here, and I'll see if we can use that as a kind of leading line out towards Castle Stalker, and if I can, I'll share some of those images with you. Alright, so we'll keep moving the actual forecast for this morning was meant to be really cloudy, but it's absolutely stunning here so far. What I have noticed behind me though is up there in the sky, as you'll see, there's some clouds creeping in. So what I'll try and do is try and get myself over to Castle Stalker as quick as I can so that I can make best use of the light, because Castle Stalker is also a location that I haven't really photographed up close before, and I've never really been down to the beach to get some images, and I've been watching the tide for weeks, so this is the first opportunity I've had to come up when the tide is high. Right, I'll keep walking and I'll catch up with you soon. Alright, so as I keep walking up towards the old railway line, I just passed a sign that was just sharing tips on the marshland area, which is a conservation area, and it was just showing you the types of birds like heron, gulls, and also small animals. So the beach and that area has also got otters and little water voles as well. Not that I'll probably see any today, but let me get up to this railway line, follow the track down and try and get as close to Castle Stalker, and we'll catch up soon. We've come to the end of the path from Jubilee Bridge, so I believe this is the old railway line. So let's take the old railway line, and then this little burn in front of me, I'm led to believe, I don't know why, but that little pool there is called Buster's Pool. I have no idea, I've tried to research it, but I still haven't discovered why it's called Buster's Pool, whether it was a person or an animal or whatever. Anyway, I'll keep walking and we'll catch up soon. Alright, so I've just stopped for a sec before I actually head further down the railway track, down there from where I came. But I'm the opposite side of Loch Lake now, and you can see the Jubilee Bridge there. Right, I'll keep walking. I mean, the vegetation and the wildflowers are absolutely stunning, but I'm trying to beat the clouds so I can get to Castle Stalker. So let's catch up when I get to Castle Stalker. Alright, as I've been walking along the old railway station path, what I've noticed is there was a wee kind of trail in between the plants. So I've just walked in and I've got quite a nice 3/4 frontal view of Castle Stalker. So what I'll do is I'll take a couple of wide shots. I'll take a shot where I've got Castle Stalker on the right hand side of the composition. Then I'll put it in the middle of the composition, and then what I'll do is I'll put it on the left hand side of the composition, because there's a little red boat out there and it'd be quite cool to get the red boat. The only thing is I've got quite a bit of what they call appen flora in front of me, and there's a little bush down the bottom, so I don't know how that's going to work out. Anyway, I'll take a few photos here, I'll share those images with you, and then I'll move on. I've made it to the edge of the beach. Some interesting old properties, and I've got the old jetty and the old railway lines for the boats. Right, so what I'll do is, I've also noticed a little lighthouse over in the back there, so I'm going to try and look for some nice compositions, because on my right hand side there's a lot of yellow seaweed. On my left hand side I've got a lot of space, an island outlet over there on the left. There's seaweed in the rocks in front of me, but that railway line might be quite a nice leading line along with the jetty. So what I'll do is I'll get set up and I'll speak with you soon. Well, that oh, that big bank of cloud has just swept all the way over and right in front of the sun. So what I've been trying to do here is use these old train tracks as a leading line out to the castle. So I've got f8 a 60th of a second ISO 100. My focal point is on the castle. I do have the jetty in my composition as well. To be fair, it's difficult to avoid that. So I'm just checking for highlights in the sky. They're okay. I've got my polarizer on because I want to try and see if we can get some kind of depth in the water, and we can start to see through the water as well as we get closer and closer. So while, oh, there's the sun hitting the castle. There we go. Right, so if I just increase my shutter speed, and as I look round, the sun's keeking out, and I'll take that shot again. Yeah, I'm getting some nice smooth ripple effects on the water. It's actually quite nice. I don't want yet to do any kind of long exposures, but what I'll do is I've got the sun on the castle now, so I'll take a few shots here. I'll do some portrait, I'll do some landscapes, although the landscape's probably not going to be that conducive with the railway line. And then what I'll do is I'll move further forward, and then I'll see what I can see inside the water to see if that'll make a nice foreground interest. So I'll take these images and I'll share them with you now. Alright, so I'm just going to walk to the edge of the jetty here, because the water's pretty clear. In fact, the water's really clear, it's really nice actually. So I'll just take my time. I don't want it too high, but I do want a landscape shot here, because what I want to try and do is get that boat. I'm going to have the castle in the centre of my image, because there's that little lighthouse I mentioned earlier is over in the left hand side, and I'll take that shot, and yeah, that could be a nice image. It's quite windy now. I tell you, the other thing I'm doing is I normally use my spirit level on my tripod to keep the camera level, but when I'm on the beach and I'm taking shots, when I'm trying that, it's actually making my horizon squint. So I'm going to have to edit them and get my horizon straight. Right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm still sticking to landscape, but I've zoomed in a lot closer, and what I've done is I've put the castle in the top third, and then what I'm going to do is do the opposite and then put the castle in the bottom third in the centre of my image, and I'll do a middle composition. And what I'll do is I'll share with you those three images, the top third, the bottom third and the middle, and if you let me know in the comments what composition you like and what you think makes a good composition with those three images, that would be really, really helpful. So what I'll do is, I've taken a few images here, so I'll share those images with you, and then what I'll do is I'll move over and I'll see if there's any kind of highly saturated green seaweed that I can see from here, but with the sun away I don't know how that'll pop. But we'll take some shots of the seaweed as foreground interest on the rocks, shooting out to the castle. Anyway, I'll share these images with you and I'll catch up with you soon. So I've lost my sun in the sky. So what I'm doing here is I've put the camera really low because I'm trying to follow the stream of water through these rocks, use that as a leading line, and then have Castle Stalker in the top third of the image. So I have focused on the castle, I've focused on the foreground, but because I'm quite close to the foreground, and because I've not got a lot of depth between me and the front boat rocks here, I might have to do a focus stack. So what I'll do is I'll do 3 images, front, middle and then the castle, and then I'll bring those 3 together and I'll share that focus stack image with you now. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to wander around this area here at the front, because there's some really luminous green seaweed on some of the rocks. There's a wee formation there that I might be able to use as a foreground and then shoot out towards the castle. I don't know if that'll work in portrait or landscape, but I'll give it a try. And then I've got some seaweed over there that I'll experiment with. But let me get these images. I'll share these images with you now, and I'll catch up with you in another composition. Right, so having to lean down here. So what I'm trying to do is get this rock formation in front of me as foreground interest, and then that hopefully will then sweep us out to the castle. But what I like about this particular rock is it's got a nice luminous green seaweed on it. Albeit we don't have the sun, it's still nice, and we can boost the saturation if we need to within Lightroom. But because I'm doing a low shot, and because I'm so close to the rock, and even although I'm shooting at f8, I'm still going to have to photo stack. So I'll take a shot of the rock, a shot of the centre of the loch, and then I'll take a shot of Loch Linnhe. And then what I'll do is I'll bring those 3 together in Lightroom. In Photoshop, and hopefully we'll have a sharp image front to back. What I'll also do is I'll do the same thing and I'll create a landscape image, and what I'll do is I'll share those 2 images with you now. Right, so here's a wee cluster of luminous green seaweed. So I'm using a portrait composition here so I can go really wide, and I'm going wide because I want to capture the castle with the Ardnamurchan mountains lit up in the background. There's a nice sailing boat sailing past, and I've got the luminosity of the green in front of me, so I'm hoping the contrast of the green, the kind of dullness in my foreground but the bright background, could make quite a nice image and give us a wee bit of depth, and maybe, just maybe, could look a wee bit 3D if that's possible. Right, so what I'll do is I'll take that image and I'll share that image with you. And what I've noticed, there's a couple of cairns that people have made, the kind of stone stacks. So what I'll do is I'll go over to the stone stacks and see if they make a nice image, and I'll catch back with you soon. Alright, so I've got a stone stack here in front of me, and actually it is a really good example of sharing separation, because I talk about separation in other videos about getting gaps between islands, using separation for Castle Stalker from the other side because the background was the same colour and it would be camouflaged, it would be hard to make it out. And we've got a similar thing here with the cairn that someone has made. So at the level that I'm at, the cairn, and I'll take a shot of the cairn, but the level I'm at means that you won't see it'll be difficult to see the cairn because it's blended and camouflaged with its background. But if I go lower and I shoot at a really low level and then incorporate the cairn, what we should do is lift the cairn up so that the cairn's more or less on the horizon beside the castle, and there'll be an absolute clear separation of the cairn from the beach, and then that way we'll be able to see it a lot easier. So what I'll do is I'll take a couple of these images and I'll show you the comparison between this level shot with the cairn and then a lower down level, and then you can let me know in the comments if you like it or not. Alright, so let's walk along the beach, because what I'd like to try and do is get a kind of face-on shot, if I possibly can, of Castle Stalker. I'll just turn the camera around so you can see what I'm concentrating on when I'm walking. There you are. So it's all rocks. It's not an easy path, and as you can make out, there's a lot of wee cairns being built here. So what I'll do is that white pole over there, if I walk over to there, stop there, then I'll have a front, well, more or less a frontal view of the castle. And yeah, let's catch up when I get over there. Well, I've actually had to come to the far end of the beach because I had forgot there's a little island beside the castle, and I just wanted to capture that inlet of water and have that little bit of separation between the island, the Castle Stalker, and the little island beside it. So what I'm going to do is, the sun's starting to come out again, but then we've got this big whole blanket of clouds coming over, so I keep having to change my settings. So I'm now shooting at ISO 100 f8 and 1/100th of a second. And the reason I'm shooting at 1/100th of a second is because I don't want any highlight clippings in the sky, and I don't really want to put any filters on because I want to try and capture the detail in the mountains in the background as well as Castle Stalker in the foreground. So what I'll do is I'll take 2 or 3 different shots. I'll take a wide shot so I can incorporate elements of the beach, and then the little red boat that we were shooting over there is way on my far right hand side, so it's quite a wide shot to try and capture that boat and include it in the composition. So I'll take 2 or 3 different shots. I'm not going to do a vertical here because I don't think it's going to be that conducive. So what I'll do is I'll take these shots and then I'll share these images with you, and then what I'll do is I'll try and work my way around the edge of this kind of peninsula, and we'll just have a wee nosy and see what's there. Alright, so as I've been walking further around, I spotted this big rock. So I'll try a couple of landscape shots to incorporate the rock, and I'll see how that goes. But what I'll also do is I'll do this vertical, because I think the vertical image will probably come out better, just because it's best suited to be on the bottom left hand side and Castle Stalker on the top right. But yeah, I'll try a couple of compositions because I've got a bit of dilemma. So if I do a landscape, do I position the rock in the middle of the 2 islands, or do I have the rock in front of Castle Stalker? I'm not quite sure yet. So what I'll do is I'll take a few compositions and I'll share them with you just now. Right, so I hope you like the images, and what I'm doing, I'll just turn the camera around and you can see where I'm walking. So I'm just walking further around. I'm actually following the beach back to Jubilee Bridge, but the tide has come in and I've never been here before, so I don't know, I really don't know how to get back. But what I'll do, I'll keep walking anyway, because there's a tree line over there, and that could be the tree line of the old railway track that I walked along. We've got an old boat. It's a shame that wasn't on the beach, because that would have made a nice foreground interest. Right, I'll keep walking along here, and if I find anything of interest, I'll stop and take a picture. Right, I've got as far to the end of the loch as I possibly can, because the tide has beat me. There you go. There's no beach left to walk on. But luckily, I found an old trail. So I'm hoping this old trail will take me back to, and this is why I put my wellies on, because it's so sodden and mucky. Right, and it is sodden and mucky. Look at that. Right, there is a trail. Great. Right, I'll follow this back to the train track. I'll head back to the Jubilee Bridge, and we'll see if we can get some images of the Jubilee Bridge with the tide up. Well, that's us on the path back to the bridge, and I've just had a notification from my watch that says your recovery has been delayed due to excess activity. There's a shocker. I don't need a watch to tell me that, how I feel. Right, I'll catch up with you when we're on the middle of the bridge, and then we'll try and capture a couple of images and then compare them with the images we took a few hours ago as the tide was out. Alright, so finally reached the bridge. Oh, I tell you, it's a fair walk. I'll bet you the locals were really pleased when this bridge was built as a shortcut to come over the marshes, because to walk all the way right round, it must be miles. So, right, I'm going to do a wide shot, and then I'm going to do a zoom shot, and I shall have Castle Stalker on the left hand side. I've got quite a bit of water in the foreground, so I'm now going to just put my castle in the horizon in the centre of the image now, and I'll do a little bit more water, because what I do want is the Ardnamurchan Mountains in the background. I'll just turn that around because there's a little bit of inlet of water. So I'll take 2 or 3 extra shots, and I'll share those images with you, and then we'll head back to the van so I can get a coffee and my breakfast bar. Alright, that's me back at the van, so I'm just going to have a coffee and my breakfast bar and just chill for 5 minutes. So here's hoping we can make a video out of this. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because you know it's free. And if you press the bell notification, that will let you know the next time I post a video. So thanks very much for watching, and here's to the next video.